Hello everybody, we are back again with another video, another preview for today, 2 out of 4, as we're going to be talking about the Colorado Avalanche and the Seattle Kraken, previewing that series. And before we start, I wanted to say please make sure to subscribe to me if you're new to hockey, whatever the case may be. I'd love to have you here along the way as I try to do this as a career. So feel free to subscribe if you want, if not, no big deal. That being said, let's get into it. And how exactly did we get here? Well, we got here by seeing Colorado just be ravaged, absolutely ravaged by injuries, and somehow they were able to claw their way into the Central Division title. As for the Kraken, they were just a great team, had a massive, successful sophomore season, and they were just able to be a team that you were really excited to go from the basement of the West into a great season this year, and they are having their first playoff appearance ever. So of course this means the defending Stanley Cup champions get the honor of getting to play Seattle for their first playoff series. And with that being said, what are some storylines to watch out for in this series? The first one is how will Landeskog's injury impact Colorado. Colorado Avalanche have been dealing with injuries all season, but this one may have hurt the most. I mean, this was just really tough as the team's captain missed the whole year with a knee injury, and this was a situation where it seemed like the Avs were going to get him back at some point this year, and the return was not able to ever happen. So leaving the injury here and looking at it, you realize that this is just kind of a big gut punch to the Avalanche. And will he be missed? Absolutely. While this team did go on to win the division and have a 100-plus point season, Landeskog had a 30-goal season just last year and is someone who would help offensively during the playoff run. Something Colorado, I think, could have used, especially right now, too, is to have Landeskog, not just for the fact that he is good, but you got to look at the fact that last year they had certain guys at Caldry that were there. He's gone, and they just lost players because that's what happens in the salary cap era, especially where the salary cap is set at. It's very difficult to keep players on teams that are winning championships, and when you lose guys via departure and then have a guy that would play top line minutes for you, it's just going to be tough, and it's going to be hard to win in that situation. But the good news is the results are still here, and they are very good results for the Avalanche. But we will see if this group is capable of keeping it going even without their captain, and will they go on to win another Stanley Cup without their captain? Again, that is the biggest question, as injuries have just hampered the Avalanche along the way. The second thing is will Seattle's players live up to the moment? This was a thing I kind of looked at, and I just went with it because this is more of a storyline, but I really like this storyline that I'm coming up with here, and that is that certain players for Seattle are younger and are good players, but are they at the point yet where they're ready for those big moments? That's what we're going to find out. And I think there are a few guys I wanted to point out here that could have that baptism by fire moment, whether it be for better or worse. You're looking at guys like Matty Beniers. He is especially one that you look at. He is the face of the franchise in a lot of ways and will be expected to play in a big role for Seattle in their success in this potential playoff run, especially because he seems poised to win the Calder, got some experience last year, played 10 games, and was one of those things you were feeling optimistic about if you were a Seattle fan going into this year. He's been able to back it up, and of course now his team is in a spot where they really could use him against Colorado to play well. Could he struggle against Colorado? Would that be a big deal? Yes, he could struggle. Would it be a big deal? Yes and no. Yes, because obviously if things go wrong, you would like to be patient, but you would hate to see your team squander away a really great year. But no, because this is one of the best teams in the league, and you understand that Beniers is a good player, and that even if he does have a bad series, playoffs are a very small stretch of time, and in his first experience, it might be kind of difficult to experience that first taste of playoff hockey against a team that just won the Stanley Cup and is such a good team. But it's not just Beniers either, and I wanted to focus on that. Other guys like 26-year-old 40-goal scorer Jared McCann is a player who comes to mind, and while McCann continues to make everyone shocked in Pittsburgh, I think that just blows my mind there that they didn't expand or protect him in the expansion draft. Now's the perfect time to make people's jaws drop even more as a team's leading goal scorer looks to do damage in this series. He's got some playoff experience as well in Pittsburgh and has continued to be better and better, and is expected to do more and more because he has shown he can be depended on. For him, I would really love to see him have a good series, just because when that expansion draft video came out, I might have done a live stream, I said that was a really good steal for Seattle. It is better than a steal. It is just downright, I don't even know what word you'd use, but it's been great for them. But of course now, with him being a 40-goal scorer and having a really good year last year, they're going to expect him to be a big part of this team in the postseason. Two other names for this topic I'd like to highlight is guys like Vince Dunn and Eli Tolvanen. And Dunn is a guy that just had a career year by far and has rewarded Seattle by getting, just a good year out of him. And then last year was a good year too. I think for them, they've been able to reward him with more minutes, because that was something you wondered about in St. Louis, if he was going to get enough time. And he has actually cracked the top 10 for Blue Liners this year for points with 64 while playing over 23 minutes a night. He also had 14 goals this year, and you're probably seeing him at his best when he is a goal scorer, when he's able to just get a quick wrist shot out on the outer slot, and that's where he's got 9 of his 14 goals, so keep an eye out for that. He's not going to get into the inner slot maybe, but that outer slot could be very good for him and for the Kraken. And now for the last name, it is Tolvanen, who is a pretty obvious talking point, I feel like, just because of how everything went down with him in Nashville. They saw his time in Nashville where he averaged 0.38 points per game, and then it has spiked up to 0.56 points per game, almost or over half a point per game, but at that 0.6 range with the Kraken. It would really be nice to see a guy that would be on another team and that struggled, and Seattle ended up picking them up and striking gold. That would be kind of nice to see here in this situation continue over in the playoffs. He was a healthy scratch at times in Nashville, and that was one of those situations where you felt like this guy had the potential, but his time had run out in one market. Seattle said, yeah, we want him, and things have gone really well for them at that time. I don't exactly know what's going to happen with all these players, whether or not they'll have a good or bad series, but I do know this: they are good and they have the potential to do something in the playoffs. And for these guys, they're going to probably have to, because Seattle, again, is not that team that has these stars that are going to score 60 goals. They're going to have 150-point seasons at the moment. And then I wanted to say, for the final takeaway, is will takeaways/giveaways matter in this series? Just like normal, you don't want to turn the puck over, especially when you can only afford to lose 3 games in a series. So how does this look for both teams? Well, for Seattle, this actually looks really good, as they forced the most turnovers in the league this season and had the second best takeaway percentage in the league this year, behind the Carolina Hurricanes. Unfortunately for them, though, Colorado actually had the fewest giveaways in the league this year, and then had the third fewest defensive zone giveaways this season as well. So that is something where, Seattle has a great potential there with the takeaways, but Colorado is also really good about not turning the puck over, especially in their end, meaning that this could be kind of a focal point for this if there's small mistakes. And one thing I wanted to point out here, and I'm not trying to pick on him, Jack Johnson, a guy that has been viewed as a player that's maybe not NHL caliber. He actually leads the Avalanche for most defensive zone turnovers. I'm thinking Matty Beniers is a guy that really likes to go after the puck and be aggressive and try to get it back while he's in the other team's defensive zone. If he's able to go after Jack, you could see maybe Matty or somebody else get a goal from Beniers being able to get the puck away from Johnson. So keep an eye out for that. Cale Makar, I think, is second for defensive zone giveaways, and it's not by too much of a difference, but Johnson is kind of a name that stuck out to me here, just because I know people would freak out if there was a bad goal where he turned the puck over, and I know it'd be all over the internet, just Instagram, Twitter, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, that is something that we will have to take note of in this series. And of course, I actually meant there is a fourth topic I want to talk about, and that is, can the Kraken contain Colorado's big three? By Colorado's big three, I mean McKinnon, Makar, and Rantanen. And I want to know how Seattle will do when they're all out on the ice, because we have seen them go out and play together as a trio, and that's a big concern. McKinnon is obviously his normal self, one of the best players in the world. Cale just casually played 26 minutes a night, and I wouldn't be surprised if he hit 30 minutes a night if he had to. And Mikko just torched the league for 55 goals this year. The trio played about 425 minutes together at 5-on-5, and you can imagine they had good results. I didn't want to count the power play, because at that point you really are saying, this is such a good group here that on the power play, of course, they're going to have good results. But at 5-on-5, that is something that's really concerning, because Seattle is not going to have an advantage there, and they still could really get overrun in that situation come this series. So I would say that is something to be quite slightly concerned about. Having said all this though, who am I going to pick in the series? I am going to pick the Colorado Avalanche in 6 games. Yes, you look at this, the Avs have been battered, they've been bruised, and they've had some players just outright missing huge chunks of the season because of injuries. And you had a guy like Nichushkin that was injured, was supposed to come back, and then got re-injured, I think from the surgery or something like that, while he's healing up from the surgery. And that's just unfortunate. But at the same time, Colorado was able to put together this great season and win their division and, hang out there with the top teams of the West. And when things looked a little rocky earlier in the year, when they were just outside of a wild card spot, I think they were one spot out, they rallied and they did well. This forward group still has other guys you have to worry about. Like I said, Nichushkin, Lehkonen, and more. You have other guys on the blue line and Tays, Bowen Byram, those guys are deadly, excluding Makar that we already talked about. Georgiev is a great goalie, or at least having a great year in the Colorado Avalanche jersey. We figured he would probably have a good year considering Colorado is so good, and you'd get a change of scenery out of New York. So those are some big things to talk about, as he was good in net and these other aspects of the team. Seattle is absolutely a team that looks good and could be good going forward next year, but still have a lot of young guys at the moment I don't see and look at and say, yep, they are at Colorado's level. Maybe they'll never get there. It's tough to say just because look at where Colorado's been at for the past few years, including last year. They're the cream of the crop in the NHL. So for me, I'm going to have to go with the defending champs to at least go on to the second round. Anyway, who do you think will win this series? Why and in how many games? I would love to hear your thoughts down below in the comments. Also, please make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new. Everybody stay safe. Have a great night, and you go love hockey, all right. Goodbye, Brigadiers and Brigadettes. This is your captain signing off. Have a great night.